And we're back with Livewire. For the next little bit, we're going to be checking out The Agency, an MMO from Sony Online Entertainment. We have SOE's Hal Milton here to explain how everything works. Jason, it's your turn again.
All right. Hey, Hal.
Hey.
Hey, I saw The Agency CES. It was a very cool game. It's a very kind of difficult game kind of to describe because it's not a typical MMO. So could you just what is The Agency?
Yeah, The Agency, in a nutshell, it's a chance for a player to live the life of a lead agent in an online persistent shooter on their PS3 or PC or whatever they decide to play it on. And we want them to be able to decide only what kind of agent do you want to be. You want to be part of Paragon, which is like the Paramilitary Global Operations Network, a bunch of hard-boiled mercenaries that care more about results than appearance, or you want to be part of Unite. Unite is the United Nations intelligence and tactical experts, tongue firmly in cheek.
Yes.
And they're basically more of the James Bond-style super spies. And players get to actually just define their character and jump into an online world that can be potentially filled with thousands of other players that they'll be able to interact with over time and perform missions to advance their career or go engage in some PvP activities to see who's the best on the leaderboards or do a host of other work.
Yeah, but it's not an MMORPG. It's kind of a blend of like online action or episodic entertainment or what?
Yeah, that's why we like the term online persistent shooter. So basically, it's a shooter, it's online, and everything about the world itself persists. Yeah. So what we try to create there is not just a typical grindy MMO experience, so you're killing 80,000 wolves to get 90,000 pelts to turn into some other widget. Instead, it's about attitude, lifestyle, and then eventually building your own pocket agency. And so it's kind of neat. You get introduced into the world through the main faction that you pick, the main agency you pick. And as you play, you start collecting these collectible characters throughout the world called operatives. They're your money pennies, your Q branch, your Chloe from 24, and you'll be kind of building your own presence and then joining up with other players to form joint agencies where your operatives can now share on bigger tasks. And yeah, it's kind of a combination of combat and non-combat moment-to-moment gameplay, and this long-term gameplay through operatives that'll reach out to you, if you choose to, outside of the game world. Because they work when you're not at your PS3, so you can come back to the game and stuff's waiting for you. If you're opted in, because everyone hates unsolicited spam, these guys are going to be able to provide you messages via your cell phone or email. So the example I've given ad infinitum, but it's really fun to give, is I've got two operatives working for me. One's building me a new type of weapon. The other is off investigating a gang in Lithuania, because operatives can go everywhere you can't. We want a global game of intrigue and espionage that ties players and our story together, and we can't build the whole Earth. We'd be lying if we said we could. So operatives go everywhere else to keep global intrigues in play. So I've set those guys on those tasks. I'm off somewhere in the real world, at work, at school, at the beach, etc. And I get a message, and this guy going, "Oh yeah, that weapon you wanted? It's waiting for you."
Yes.
Haha, got to get back in. And then the other message will come through, and it's, "Oh yeah, those guys you wanted me to find, yeah, I found them. They found me. They were asking for $1 million, so they're going to kill me. Text 1 to send $1 million. Text 2 to let him die." It depends on what kind of agency head you want to be. Do you want to be benevolent like M from James Bond, or do you want to be like that jerk from Alias?
So it's going to be like you're at work, at real work, in the real world, and you get this message, and you feel like, hey, you are like that guy in, I want to say Mission Impossible. You know, you're working in the driver's license office, and all of a sudden, hey, I have to go on a mission.
Absolutely, and in that imperative that you get, it's as much as you want it to be. So you don't have to worry about being tethered to your machine. A lot of the online games turn into going to work simulators. You know, it's like you have to play the game for 4 hours a night, or everyone hates you, and you get kicked out of the guild. And we're trying to build the opposite of that. You can put in as much or as little time as you want, and these messages that reach out to you, they give you this false imperative, like something bad's going to happen, but you can wait till you get back to your PS3 or go online to your site and actually manage your operatives there.
Well, I've got a quick question. I'm not very familiar with this game, so is there not ultimately a goal that you're trying to accomplish, and then is it because you said you can either choose to let them die or pay them how much money? Does choosing those, making those choices affect what you end up being?
Well, making those choices with operatives, we'll kind of start weighting which operatives will want to work with you in the future. But more importantly, yeah, we have this whole story in the game. Your career from kind of the first locations in Central America through Europe and beyond, in which you go through this kind of, the same circuitous path of plots to find out who the villain is pulling the strings. And the cool thing is, Paragon and Unite are rivals. They're not enemies. So they'll both approach the story from different directions and find out it's the same puppet master at the end, giving them an opportunity to join together and take on a threat greater than themselves. And when you've gone through the career mode of the game, it's kind of like going through all the back DVDs of your favorite TV series, and then there'll be ongoing episodic content, event content, community content amongst all the players, and of course, nonstop PvP action for those players that just want to go in and shoot folks a lot.
Okay. Okay, well, that sounds good. Jason?
So Hal, you said it's PC and PS3.
Yeah.
Are they going to be able to play together, or is this going to be? Are they separate?
That is a great question. There's no technological reason why PC and PS3 players can't play together, but on the design side, we refuse to compromise one platform just so the two can play together. And you know, real or not, when players actually are on one console and PC, here's the arguments you hear. PC guys have a mouse and keyboard, they have an advantage. PS3 guys have aim assist and magnetism, they have an advantage. So rather than tackle it from the moment-to-moment angle, we're putting some consideration to all that delicious, persistent data and seeing what we can do to tie together those two communities that way. But in the meantime, when it comes to running around and gunning and stuff, if you're on the PS3, expect to play with PS3 players and PC players to keep things balanced and fun.
Yeah, and what I kind of loved about this game when I saw it, way back when, is you really kind of play on like spy culture in a way. Like there's secret bases, and you walk into a flower store, and all of a sudden the door opens, and you find yourself in this giant base, and there's like Q or what the Q look-alike working on his weapons in the background.
Exactly. I mean, we aren't making quite the real world. It's kind of a step above. I mean, we're not tackling any real world ideological struggles. The world is a dark and dangerous place, and plenty of people are making great games about that. We're making something that's fun that people want to come into. So you'll have aliases. You can't go into a casino with an M60 strapped to your back. You got to collect the outfits and credentials and look the part. And the cool thing about Alias is we get to play on that spy angle even more. If enemies own a bar, you're trying to get through to the back office to steal some intel. When you're in a role, if they shoot you, your health goes down. If you're in an alias and they're staring at you, your alias starts to go down. So you'll have to stop at the bar and have a drink, or pause over in the corner to make it to the back. And all of those things, we're trying to get to the fun and the tongue-in-cheek nature of our world, not keep it too dark and gritty. We want to make, as our art director puts it, want to create a world people want to run to, not away from, and hit all those touchstones of action and espionage that people have always wanted or fantasized to have their own wishes fulfilled in.
So to have spies, you have to have quote-unquote normal people. I mean, are those strictly NPCs, or how's that going to work?
Well, there are some NPCs in the world, but we've actually crafted the fiction of our world to be spies and mercs are ubiquitous. There's agencies all over the place, and most of the civilians are almost kind of bored about them until the explosions, of course, go off, and then they get a little terrified. So we've actually tried to address in our lore all of the little touchstones that make an online game, our world, and how it's different than the real world.
I see.
And then I wanted to ask, it's something you could play. I remember something you could play it by yourself. So the entire game is soloable in a way. But then you could team up with 2 or 3 other people, and you have much more fun coordinating all your attacks and such.
Yeah, so it is a full online game. You're online in the main world, but some folks love online worlds, but that other people part kind of freaks them out a bit. So all of our career content, the main career content, is inherently soloable, but it's all replayable with multiple ratings. So if you want to solo your way through the career, you can, but expect to get a lot of bronzes. If you want to get silvers or golds, you either have to revisit them when you're more powerful, or just find a couple people to join you. And our matchmaking stuff should make that really fun.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're actually running out a little bit of time, so we're going to move on to reader questions. I Am Akin wants to know, will the agency feature cross-platform play for PS3 and PC, which we actually already answered, no. And I Am Akin has a follow-up to that. Will there be a beta, and if so, can he join?
There will indeed be a beta, and people will be able to join it. We'll have a number of incentives out there for folks to get in the earlier phases, and then we'll have a wider open beta towards the end. Because if it doesn't work right in beta, it's not going to be a final game, and we need as many people in there breaking our stuff as much as possible.
Awesome. So we zipped through those questions pretty fast. Did you want to round up with anything? Is there anything we should see?
I'm just really curious to see when's it going to be available to play.
Well, as a designer, I'm required by law to say when it's ready and when it's fun. We're entering into alpha this summer, and which it is the middle of right now. And once we're out of alpha, and I'm sorry, as unsatisfying as this response is, once we're out of alpha, we're in beta. And once we're out of beta, we're on the shelves. But as soon as that game is rock solid and everything we're talking about is as fun as it sounds, then we're going to get in everybody's hot little hands.
All
right, well, we're going to take off. Thanks so much for joining us. It's nice to have an MMO that doesn't necessarily revolve around orcs and elves. Not that that's bad, but you gotta try other things. Guys, I actually have to eat, and so does the rest of the crew, so we will be back after lunch with much more live demos.